Barami, what is Azure Lighthouse?
All right, okay. Thank you very much, Prabha, for giving us the opportunity to share about what is Azure Lighthouse. Okay, so first let me share my screen. All right, okay, so today I'm coming with Kun Navapot co-host together. So we're gonna introduce to you how will Lighthouse benefit as a service provider or managed service provider, the MSP, and as well as the customer. Okay, so let's get started. So first, I would like to talk about the momentum of the managed service market opportunity at the moment. First, I would like to talk about some pain point or the challenges that they are facing at the moment. Okay, so as a customer, you see that today when your applications start to be migrated to the cloud, more and more complexity start to increase. You need more IT resource to manage it. Either it's going to be like a database administrator, infrastructure administrator, cloud engineer, and many more, networking engineer. So as you can see, as your application get more complex and getting bigger, you need more IT resources. But that's something challenging to the customer to hire more resources to handle the IT infrastructure, right? Not only that, in the cloud, when there's more application, there are many factors to consider. For example, like integration, security, and including governance. So that is something that the rapid growth of today application in the cloud bring in a lot of more automation needs, right? So that is some need in the market. So to be able to for the customer to be able to comply to some local standard, regional standard, and including to have like threat protection or remediation, that need a lot of IT resources in different roles to closely work together, right? So this is a challenge. So that's why many customer nowadays, many enterprise, many organization, they are looking forward to high outsource. Maybe it could be a managed service offering from a partner or someone who can help them share the responsibility to make sure that their cloud infrastructure can work accordingly, right? So there's come the part of the service provider or Microsoft managed service provider, the MSP, and there is also still some challenges on this when we see that when as a service provider get more customer in their company, they have to manage across many tenants, right? They have different customer are in different industry. They have to comply to different standard. They have to comply to different environment. They have to manage many things at the same time, which in the past, our Azure platform, we doesn't have any tools to help make this simplify and integration and as well as comply to the industry standard, right? So as you can imagine in the past, when you are a service provider, when you're trying to implement some infrastructure during migration or managed service, you have to keep on log in and off into different Azure portal, into different tenants. So that's just the complexity. So that's why this is the feedback. Microsoft Azure product team, we got the feedback from both the customer and as well as the service provider. So that's why we come up with a service called Azure Lighthouse. Okay. So what is Azure Lighthouse? Let me give you a brief description before we go into detail later. Okay. So for Azure Lighthouse, it's a tool to help service provider automate. Okay. And as well as manage cloud at scale in a single portal. All right. And talking about enable better visibility and governance as well. Okay, so service provider will be able to watch over different customer tenant across many environment at their own portal, meaning that they don't have to keep on sign in and sign off many times. And lastly, they can also gain more new customer market into new market penetration in a way that sometimes the implementation partner could be partner A, while partner B could provide the managed service offering. Okay, so this can help grow the revenues of the partner and as well as into new customer segment. But how does Azure Lighthouse bring this capability to work? Okay, so the engine behind it, the architecture is based on Azure Delegated Resource Management, or basically we call it the ARM template. Okay, during the deployment, it's pretty easy. Okay, or the template for deployment for every customer is available on GitHub repository. Some of the use case that normally for cross-tenant experience management, they sometimes managed service provider tend to do something like Azure policy management across different customer, Azure monitoring. Sometimes they also do SOC as a service, Azure Sentinel, as well as some other VNet offering. So this is something that Lighthouse bring in the capability for the service provider. So this is pretty easy and it helps fix the challenges or the pain point in the past that the customer is not able to manage this thing.
how Microsoft Services partners were managing their customers previously, before the introduction of Azure Lighthouse.
All right. Okay. So talking about this now about in terms of Azure Lighthouse, how do the partner manage their customer differently, right? So this is how the architecture in the past looked like previously. Okay. So as you can see on the MSP tenant here, this is the service provider. Meanwhile, if the service provider have many customers in this scenario, they are managing 4 different customers here. Customer number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 here. So every time the MSP would like to go into manage into the environment of the customer, they have to switch the tenant in their portal, or they have to redo the sign-in process. Okay, so if they want to manage customer 1 tenant, they have to switch the tenant and sign into customer 1. Once they are done doing some governance detail, and they want to work with customer number 2 here, they have to sign out. Okay, they switch the tenant and sign back in again into customer number 2. And as you can see, that's the pain that the service provider has to go through, switching to different tenant, having to remember different credential. Okay, but with the service of Azure Lighthouse today, this can help partners save time and making management more simplified and more easy. Okay, so from now on, the service provider can just be in their own Azure portal tenant. Okay, meaning that they don't have to re-sign in many times anymore. All the service that is delegated permission by each of the customer, they will be able to access those resources from the MSP tenant. So as you can see the new diagram here, so all customer here, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, once they delegate either their subscription or delegate some resource group, the MSP will be able to see those services in their own tenant. So this has helped time. So as I believe that now you'll be able to see how Azure Lighthouse can help empower managed service offering for both the customer and as well as the partner at this level.
Barame, what are the key features available in Azure Lighthouse?
Okay, so now I think you know about the capability of Azure Lighthouse. Okay, so now let's look into some features or scenarios or the use case that Lighthouse will help answer the challenges and be the value added to the customer from the service provider side. Okay, first let me start off with sharing 3 different scenarios, 3 main scenarios. Okay, so first is the monitoring. So from now on, the service provider will be able to manage different customer at scale, okay, from their own portal. Next, they can do governance at scale, which we'll go into detail in the corresponding slide. And lastly, the service provider will be able to manage security, okay, on different customer environment at scale as well. Okay, so first let's start off with monitoring at scale. So I will ask Navapot here to help share the detail about it.
Yeah, because of as we know, right? Because of today, right? Because of MSP provider that is pretty challenging for the manage the customer because of they have the multiple customer and also have the multiple tenant at the same time. That's thing that the Lighthouse we assure that we can help to the MSP that they can do for seeing that they can see the visibility for across all the multiple tenant and multiple customer across all them at the same time, right? That's thing that the provider that can do also the integrate with incident management, also doing for the automation, let's say for the playbook, or in case they have some incident, they have to visible all the customer. That's thing that it's very powerful use case, the thing that it can reduce in terms of the operation, in terms of MSP. That thing is the first use case that the Lighthouse can gain benefit with the MSP partner.
On the second scenario, okay, talking about in terms of governance at scale, okay, so something to mention as well is that Lighthouse does not tie to specific type of licensing model, okay. It could be applied to CSP partner, it could be applied to EA partner, and as well as a pay-as-you-go partner. So as you can see, this is pretty powerful feature that Lighthouse bring. And talking about governance, normally I believe that all service provider, they always hear from their customer that, okay, what is my current usage as of today? And what's gonna be my usage toward the end of the month? Okay, that is something challenging for the service provider to tell their customer because they don't have much visibility in the past. But with Azure Lighthouse, they will be able to help tracking the daily usage, okay, and as well as the forecasting for monthly expenses that the customer have to pay to Azure. And talking in terms of governance, of course we couldn't forget something about policy, okay. Different region have different policy, and as well as different industry, there is different policy or compliance. For example, in healthcare industry, most hospital or healthcare provider, they have to comply to HIPAA industry specific compliance. But with Azure Lighthouse, the MSP or the managed service provider, they will be able to come up with some blueprints based on Azure policy to harden all those requirements and making sure that every environment of different customer that the MSP is managing, they will be able to check which are the things that are complied to the checklist and which are the things that is not complied to the checklist. So they can give consultation and as well as remediate to make sure that the customer environment is compliant to those industry standards. Okay, and another scenario, for example, when customer is onboarded to Azure after a while, and how can the service provider give consult or value added to those customers? With the capability of our Azure free service, our Azure Advisor, that service can help service provider gain insight, okay, on different perspectives to give advices to the customer on different environment. For example, they can tell their corresponding customer how can they optimize their infrastructure more, what are the cost saving that they can do, okay, how can they enhance better performance, how can they do better high availability, and as well as in terms of security center, they can give advice that how can they harden or enable some security feature to make the approach or the design of that infrastructure to be defense in depth. So these are so many different scenarios, okay, that the MSP can do governance at scale to provide to their different customer.
Yeah, but I think the another bring the good use case for the security part of them, because as we know today, right? Because in digital world, most of the customer don't have the technical staff or do able capacity in terms of the manage, in terms of the cyber threat today, because they're pretty more advanced today. And that's thing, many customers today, they're looking for the MSP to help them to operate, to security management on behalf of them. And that's thing that this bring very good story with the MSP that can provide with the Sentinel or Security Center with the Azure Lighthouse. That's thing, the Azure Lighthouse, we can also do manage and also do operate across all of these customers like the multi-tenancy. Because of today, right? If you get familiar with the security area in Azure, that we also have the log analytics to capture the logs from the Azure environment, and we can send to analyze with Azure Sentinel, right? And with Azure Lighthouse, that we can do the same. That's thing that Azure Log Analytics still on the customer tenant. That's thing the customer they still ensure because of the log security and also the information that they're really concerned in terms of the compliance stuff is still on that tenant, right? But they can, but in terms of the MSP provider, they can see across all the customer tenant at the same time without the bring the compromised security in terms of the security on the customer environment. That thing is really powerful use case. And also the Lighthouse is also can integrate with the security center as well. Security center is also bring another layer to like a proactive to monitor how you can understand the security level, security project at the current state. That's thing that Lighthouse we can see across all what the gaps today, what we are today about security, and we can also integrate with the security center and with Sentinel under the MSP. And that's thing that is really powerful use case.
Navapot, how Azure Lighthouse can benefit our managed service providers or services partners?
Okay, thank you so much for this question. I think because of, as you know, right, because the Lighthouse is also give benefits, really strong benefit with the service provider. That's as we know already, because right now we can reduce the time for the operation team, that they can do the single pane visibility for across all the multiple customer, multiple tenants at the same time, compare with the traditional way, because of in terms of the operator that they have to do for the multiple login, multiple access, multiple tenant. That thing is really make trouble for the operation and troubleshoot the system. In another things in terms of the compliance, because we also make sure that all activity in terms of what do you do in terms of the make sure about the in terms of the customer as well. We can track all the activity in terms of who's done to what in activity as well. And in terms of another good benefit in terms of the MSP, when you want to do to go to the market, because of Azure Lighthouse, that we can also approach that you can do the private for the offering with your customer, or you can do like a generic or public or the marketplace. That's thing that you can do expand the business, right? Because of the today that you might sit on Sri Lanka or in Thailand or anywhere, but you can do across all the multiple customer in a multiple country right now. That thing is really powerful for the service provider. Yeah, and also I think another point that I think the good point for the Lighthouse is not just only for the provider, it's also gain the benefit in terms of the customer as well. Because the customer, right, as we know, right, the customer side, they can allow the resource that they confident that to one provider that they want to there to manage, right, and they can still gain control what the resource, what the subscription that they allow to provider to manage on that authorized resource. And also they can still, let's say, they still have the make sure about the security and compliance, because of all the activity that I'm sharing, I still make the audit and track all the times.
Black, how much it will cost?
You're surprising because of in terms of the pricing, right? As we know from Barame sharing, Azure Lighthouse is based on the dedicated resource management, right? And that's thing that in terms of the dedicated resource management is under the control plane in the Azure. That's thing the Azure Lighthouse is no costing. That's thing we don't have any charging for the provider to using for these services. That's thing that is really good for the MSP, that you can leverage for this thing with the free of charge, and you can bring your value for the MSP, the managed service, and do offering for across all your customer.
Barame, back to you. How it really works? Can you show us a small demo?
Sure, definitely. Okay, so this for demo, I work together with Navapot together to show different scenario. Okay, so you have the user experience for both as a customer from Navapot side, and from my side, I will gonna assume that I am the partner. Okay, so my company name is Contoso, while Navapot as a customer, he is in a company called Microsoft. Okay, so let's give some a little background. So you will see Navapot as a customer portal in a light theme. Why for me? Okay, the experience for me in Contoso, managed service provider, partner, tenant, I'm gonna use the dark theme. Okay, so over to Navapot to show his customer environment.
Okay, because right now, right, on behalf of the customer, the Navapot with the Microsoft tenant, that we are on the white green, that I switch to my demo environment. Okay. Okay, right now, I'm in the portal of the Azure portal. I think that most of you get familiar with this thing. Right now, I'm logged into the Azure portal with Microsoft, my account at domain tenant Microsoft domain. That's thing that as you can see, we are on the white screen, and that's thing that when you log in here, right? That's thing that the traditional that thing that you get from with the Azure portal. And when I'm look on here, that you can see, right, that we in this here we have the VM virtual machine in my tenant environment. I have the some of VM provisioning in here. For some example, we have Linux VM that running under the resource group that customer demo that I think in this for this use case. And when I'm customer, right, I want to see who is my service provider. I can search on service provider. Right now, I'm search and coming into this service provider menu. In this menu is appear when you register this tenant into the Lighthouse, and that's thing that in the service provider menu that you can see the offer that what the provider I'm working to. Right now in my menu that you can see, right, I have the MSP package by Barame. That's thing. In my environment, I have configuration for my environment to manage by this provider. That this provider is calling the Dolola provider, and I dedicate my resource at the subscription level, right? You can see, right? And when I'm working in this resort, when I want to change, I want to end a contract with this provider, I can delete this thing at any time. That's thing that you can remove all the time when you want to switch your provider. That thing I can still make sure I still control in terms of the compliance, in terms of security as well. And when you look on the delegate menu, in the delegate menu, you can see in a more deeper level about the authorization, what the role-based access that you give the provider to manage. And in here, you can see, right, we can define what the role-based access level, what the level that you want to provider, operator to manage on your resource, the contributor level or the some custom RBAC control permission as well. That's thing that in here you can see what the resource that you authorize and what the subscription you authorize with your provider. And also you can add the menu as well. In case want to add a thing when you're working for this provider and you have some project or have a new innovation idea that you want to allow for the provider to manage for them as well. That thing that you can allow, let's say in this case, I want to allow Dolola thing from Barame to manage for some project in my environment. Let's say I have some big data project, new project. I want to this project to manage by my provider. That's the I can sell grant authorization from the menu. That thing is really show that it's really easy for the customer side. That thing they can provide and services and working with the provider at any time. Yep. And that's thing that this thing for all the customer side, I will send back to Barame that he can show for what you can see in terms of the service provider side.
Okay, thank you very much, Navapot. Okay, now I will share my screen. Back to me. Okay, so now, as for me, now I'm sitting in the shoe of a service provider, right? So let's see how my experience will look like, okay, to managing my customer, Navapot customer Azure tenant, okay? So as you can see here, I'm signed into my own tenant, Docora, or in a way we call it Contoso demo tenant, okay? So this is not Microsoft tenant at all. Okay, but as you can see, as Navapot have delegate permission for the service provider, me, to manage his environment. And the thing that he delegated to me is the subscription level. Okay, so first how I can check is that I can search it up like my customer. Okay, so as a service provider, you will have a tab called My Customer to search up who are all the customer that have delegated permission and access to different customer tenant there. And as you can see here, these are all my different customer. While Kun Navapot, he is in the company called Microsoft. I can check that what are the delegation, okay, offer in from different company. Okay, so this is the granular access level that I can gain access from. And if I want to drill down into like, okay, all the permission that I have in different customer company, I can see that these are all the delegation I receive from Microsoft company. So from Navapot, that he has just delegated me his own full subscription. So what I will see here is that based on the role that he give me the permission, so he give me the role of contributor. So meaning that I will be able to do some different configurations, start or stop VM. Okay, so I can drill down into this subscription here. What I will see is that everything, the experience is same, like his own subscription. I was able to see his billing. I can help him answer what are some estimate costs and the forecast by the end of the month. Not only that, I will be able to see the resource group right here. Okay, these are all resource group that he have delegated me under his subscription. I can go to his Navapot customer tenant resource group over here. And for example, he mentioned that there's some error with his VM called Linux. He would like me to see the logs of this VM and possibly maybe restart or resize it. So what I can do here, as you can see, in his own subscription here, okay, his own subscription, okay, his own resource group here. This is his VM that he wanted me to do some managed service to it. Okay, I can come in and check, okay, these are the log. I can tell him that, okay, maybe the error of the VM, this does cause from the CPU maximize here. You can see that the CPU percentage here is pretty low. So this is something that I can answer him or diagnose in real time and tell him. And the thing that if you want to know what have I done, okay, the good thing about Azure Lighthouse is that it keep all the log analytics, okay, keep all the action done about what have done by who. So you can see here that, okay, Navapot, he himself has started VM like 2 hours ago. Meanwhile, I just restarted his virtual machine. So if anything went wrong, okay, now the customer will be able to be confidently come back and track all the timestamp of whom have done what, and that event have been initiated by who. Okay, so this is all the tracking or the log that the customer can come and see and check, okay, what is the thing that service provider have done. And this is just one of the use case that I can do. Meanwhile, as you can see, these are all the experience same like the customer. As a service provider can see the same thing. I can give him different console. I can enable him backup. Okay, I can set some alert rule for me and for him as well on different things. So these are some use case that Lighthouse will be able to help my partner as well to be able to simplify the management on different customer tenant, and as well as being able to see different scenario things going on, okay, on different customer tenant. And this is the benefit that both the customer and as well as Microsoft, we can do everything transparently, okay, to Azure Lighthouse. If you want to study more about Lighthouse, okay, our team have just recently released a Microsoft Learn module about Azure Lighthouse. So if you want to go further to do some hands-on lab to understand more of the concept and the technology behind it, you can go to Microsoft Learn and search up for a module about Azure Lighthouse.